Hello, welcome back to Fist Entertainment for a follow-up review that concludes the It series from Warner Brothers New Line Cinema. Again, this is not the Steelbook or the 4K edition. I'll be reviewing It Chapter 2. Now, I would say out of all the Blu-ray releases of the movie, this is probably my favorite snapcase because I like the artwork. The artwork here is really, really good. I really enjoyed this movie. Is it my favorite horror movie of 2019? No, it is not. It is among my favorites when it comes to horror films of 2019. My absolute favorite horror film of 2019 is actually Dr. Sleep, which is a bit of underdog compared to It Chapter 2. They're both adapted from Stephen King novels, but I really liked the personal connection that I had with Dr. Sleep. And we'll get more into that when I actually review Dr. Sleep in February. So let's go ahead and talk about this movie and how much I like it and why. I like this movie because the characters are all relatable. You actually have vantage points as to which character you want to follow. It's kind of really, really cool. What's really cool about the first movie and what's even cooler about the second movie is there's really no main characters in these movies. They're all main characters. And I really like that. And it's very bold to make a movie like this that has some of the best talent the world around when it comes to actors and actresses, and actually be so well entertained that you can actually choose which actor in the movie you want to follow as a baseline for your experience of watching the movie. You can actually find something you can relate to with all the characters in this movie. You can relate to Bill and his grief over not saving his younger brother, and how he is destined to save people from Pennywise, and how he can't do that, and he has to give up on the idea that he can. Admitting that he lied to his brother when he said that he was sick and can't play with him. He was just playing hokey and decided just didn't want to play with his younger brother, which eventually ended up to where Pennywise was able to devour his younger brother. When it comes to Richie's struggling with the secret he keeps that he's actually a homosexual, and he's kept that to himself for all his life. Ed, his whole entire thing of the fact that he is so attached with his mom that he actually married a woman much like his mom, and the fact that, you know, he never really, truly quite grew up and conquered fear. And it shows how, even though he does die in the movie, it shows how he conquers fear and saves the day multiple times throughout the movie, which is pretty miraculous. How Ben finally confesses his love for Beverly. How Beverly finally confronts her fear of, you know, abuse and so on, because she actually married an abusive guy who was very similar to her father. We like how they had these parallels with all these characters. I would say I really did enjoy how this movie played out. Now, the plot of this movie is actually very, very simple, a lot easier than the first movie. This movie is a lot longer than It Chapter 1, but their story is a lot simpler than It Chapter 1. Alright. 27 years later, all our characters are grown up from the Losers Club. And of course, Pennywise is starting to devour people again. When it comes down to this beginning sequence of the movie, a lot of people in society have a problem with this movie. Alright, people. I have read from many, many sources, not just one source, but many sources, that if you actually read the novel, Stephen King's It, the second half of the novel actually has what you're seeing at the beginning of this movie in the book. Pennywise does that, and yes, you got the townfolk of Derry harassing and attempting to murder a gay couple. And then Pennywise capitalizing and eating one of the gay guys. That happens in the novel. So with that said, I'm sorry that we live in 2020 and Stephen King's It was written over 25 years ago. As a matter of fact, I'd say it was written about almost 40 years ago. This book was written 40 years ago. 40 years ago. There was, obviously, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer movement, but it wasn't nearly as amplified as it is today. So, I'm sorry to all of you out there that had something bad to say about the beginning of the movie in terms of that. But you guys need to fucking grow up, alright? Disturbing things are going to happen in movies. You may not agree with them, but you got to accept them. And then it doesn't matter what movie it is, you have to accept what people do in a movie. Maybe the government, maybe our fucking government, and I'm sorry I say that, and you know what, Donald Trump? There are a lot of things I like that you do. There's just a few things that I don't. So I am not at all opposed to you. Just want to say that. But our government themselves even have a problem with extreme stuff in a movie. It's a movie. You're going to see extreme stuff that you're not going to like in a movie. Just deal with it. Don't try to ban it. Don't try to be politically correct about it. Because we all just want to get entertained. And so just enjoy the movie. We're all friends. Government officials, FTC, here on YouTube, our cabinet. We're all friends. We should just get along. Period. So let's go ahead and get fast through this. Next about 4 minutes. Alright. So it catches the eye of, obviously, the grown-up version of our black character. I always forget his name. I don't know why I forgot his name. I'm pretty sure it is Danny, but it might be something else, like I said in the last review. And interesting enough, I just watched this movie, but I guess there's so much going on in this movie, I wasn't paying attention to the black guy's name. But he actually calls up, because he knows that Pennywise is back, so he calls up all of our main characters and tells them to come back to Derry and finish what they started. They have no memory of the events in Derry. And when they come back to Derry, Bill, Beverly, Ben, Richie, Ed, they start remembering things. Stan, unfortunately, does not make it back because Stan remembers things from the old days. And he's traumatized by it that he actually slits his wrist and kills himself. And of course, our main characters figure this out when Pennywise makes himself announced and known to them. Very quickly after they arrive in the town of Derry. All grown up. And obviously, the one that never left, which of course is our black guy, so we'll just call him Danny. If his name's something else, I'm sorry. I'm just going to call him Danny. I think that's what his name is. He shows Bill the means to kill Pennywise. It has to do with a tribal ceremonial practice that he learned from people that fought Pennywise thousands, maybe millions of years ago. He didn't quite say how long ago, but I would say quite a long time ago. And what our characters have to do, they have to confront their fears and confront bad memories that they had in order to retrieve artifacts that relate to them personally. And then they need to take these artifacts and sacrifice them to some supernatural force that will help them defeat Pennywise. And only when doing so can they actually get Pennywise to turn into his true form so they can defeat him. It's essentially what they do. And I already kind of went over kind of what they have to confront and stuff like that at the beginning of this video, so you already know. And we're running out of time here, so I'm not going to go over that again. Just press rewind, go to the beginning if you want to hear details on that. But I think I was pretty good at the beginning, talking about how you can relate to all the characters in this movie in one way or another from vantage points, other points of view. So they do that, obviously, and how they defeat Pennywise is they actually make Pennywise small so they can defeat him. Small. Very tiny. And they do so by taking away Pennywise's power. Pennywise is a lot like Freddy Krueger. He really depends a lot on fear. So they take all the fear away from him, and eventually it turns him into the size of a little infant, and they take his heart and destroy it. And of course, by the end of the movie, everybody lives a nice life and moves on. So let's go on to the quality of the movie, because we're running very quickly out of time here. It's again in CinemaScope 240 by 1 widescreen. As I said in the last video, the full HD version of this movie is very typical, but very well with the good vivid colors. It has a lot of good vivid colors in this movie. Again, this film was, like the first film, preceded with Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos in compliance. So this is designed to be viewed with a 4K Dolby Vision type of way. So this is not the definitive version of It Chapter 2, but it works for me. The audio quality, it does take a little bit of a step down from It Chapter 1, I will definitely admit. It's not as intense and blasty and dramatic when it comes to the sound. But there is very good use of overhead Atmos effects and very good stereo and mono effects, and good use of subwoofer effects when it needs, but it just feels like this is a balanced track. Now, it's not like John Wick Chapter 3 where it feels like they turned a dramatic range control option on to take out all the blastment of the sound source. It feels like it's just a completely balanced Dolby Atmos track, which means you don't have like extreme risen up effects like you have in It Chapter 1. But it's still a very, very satisfying Dolby Atmos track. I definitely recommend It Chapter 2. I recommend you watch